All right, everybody. So, welcome back to Lou Insights. Been a while, had to take a little break, you know what I'm saying? Spend some quality time with some loved ones and a particular loved one. But anyway, yeah, so I had made a post the other day saying that I was going to drop a video discussing why, here recently online, you've seen men begin to express more of their thoughts on relationships. And if you really think back, y'all, in the past decade, you really didn't hear the perspective of men. You hear it on talk shows, little funny, little anecdotal moments on talk shows or something, like on Martin, the Cosby Show, stuff like that. But you didn't really get to hear the in depth, raw thoughts of what men thought about relationships. And here online, here lately, we've been able to, express ourselves. And it's probably a lot, irritating to a lot of people, a lot of women who may not have known about these thoughts. But ultimately, I believe it's healthy. It's healthy for both men and women to get out what's going on in our minds because ultimately, y'all, we gotta learn to be together and work together if we want our civilization to thrive and for the human population to grow or stay, at least stay where it's at. We got to work together. So we got to know where each other's minds are. So for me personally, by the way, got my Dunbar '03 20-year reunion, sentimentals, beautiful. Hey, we did our thing. Hey, '05, I see y'all do y'all thing this year too. But anyway, y'all, I'm entering my 17th year of education. I'm 40 years old, so I've dedicated what nearly half of my life to trying to better our community through education because growing up I see the issues. People from the outside will try to put their 2 cents in, but they will never be able to understand. They don't have four uncles and all of them have been shot and incarcerated before. All right. They don't have nieces and nephews incarcerated as we speak right now. All right. They don't have a group of friends they grew up and everybody has seen a jail cell. Everybody has been shot. Almost everybody has experienced parents strung out on drugs. We talking about everybody in the circle. They will never be able to understand. And although you may want to help and you may do things to help, just understand that if you're not living in the midst of that, like people like I am growing up, you will never understand, man. All right. So I just had to put that out there because I be seeing stuff where it's like, man, people is really just out, they're clueless. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I before I move on, I appreciate you trying to understand and trying to help, but you need to recognize your place in this. All right, you're on the outside looking in. You don't understand the depths of the effects of what has happened to us mentally. I don't know how I made it this far without going to jail or being shot. It's got to be God's blessing because I was right there in the midst of it. Okay, there's times where I lived in the drug spot. I didn't know, but I was. You know what I'm saying? So, man, listen. But anyway, I spent almost half of my life trying to better our community through education. Becoming an educator, a teacher, the best one I can be, and then being there with open arms to meet our children when they come into my classroom and spending that whole time with them that whole year. And sometimes I spend multiple years with them depending on what classes they take. And I whatever gaps or holes that were present in their home life, I try to fill in. you know um, but every teacher that's being honest will get to a point and tell you and let you know that there comes to a point to where there's like a wall where you get shut off as a teacher. There's nothing you can do beyond this point. Boom, because that is home's job, yo. And the way that American law is set up is you can't impact somebody's privacy in their home, which is good. I understand it. I support that. But sometimes it's a double-edged sword because as a teacher, everything that you try to instill into a child while they're with you can be undone every day when they go home. And you as a teacher have no power over that. So it's like even though I've dedicated almost half my life to fixing my community, it's still very little progress I can see because of that same dynamic. Now, I do also want to say this, that we're not talking about every household. There are many parents that deserve to be applauded for the job that they're doing, y'all, because I understand the struggle. You could be struggling financially, spiritually, mentally, everything, and still stand up and be there for your children. And I see parents doing it all the time, and I love it. And I just want to let you know that we teachers appreciate y'all. So it ain't like a situation where we just saying it's all parents. It's not. We have some excellent parents, some excellent families that's really doing their job out here. Hold on, y'all. All right, but alongside of that, we have too many that are doing the exact opposite. And there's so many that it impacts our children that are on the right path. Because when they go to school, they have to interact with these children that are not on the right path. And it's a constant battle. Constantly trying to pull these kids that's on the right path to stay on that right path. All the while trying to help these kids over here to even sense that there is a right path. So it's a battle. But after, almost half of my life being dedicated to education and me being stonewalled at the point where it's home, where I can't impact the home directly, this is where it comes to men getting on the internet and speaking about relationships. Okay. Me personally, and again, all men don't have the same agenda. There's always going to be some bad actors, some men who aren't doing it for the right reason. But me personally, and a lot of men I see, we realize that in order to really make a big impact, you have to somehow reach into the homes. And the internet has become the tool to go ahead and reach into the homes. Okay? To reach into the homes by way of someone's mental. So I know I can't, as an instructor, go in and control what's going on in the home, but I can influence somebody's thoughts in a positive way to help be a supplement to what I'm already giving them in the classroom. So I want to supplement what I'm already giving them in the classroom by now coming online and making myself accessible and making my knowledge and experience accessible to them. And what we see is one of the most important pillars of the community is the family structure. Okay? If we can impact the family structure, then we can impact what type of children are being produced in the homes. Not saying that we're perfect and we have all the answers, but we do have a lot more insight, and we do have a lot of parents who do need some insight and some help. So if I could do that through in the medium of the internet, then that's what I'm gonna do, because that's what I'm trying to do anyway every day as a teacher. So why not extend that and expand upon that and come online with it? All right, because we're being stagnated. We can't affect what's going on in the home. So at least I'm going to try to affect what they see online, so that can then possibly propagate itself to better thoughts, better actions, better words, so that what I teach them in school, or what we teach them in school, can be expanded upon inside the household, and then they come back to us and we can build upon that. So ultimately, we're trying to fix our community, which involves fixing the family structure. And what's the rock, the support, the foundation of the family structure? The relationship between the man and the woman of the house. If you don't have a good relationship between the man and the woman of the house, the family structure is shot. It's over. So, in order to really make that impact on the family structure, we had to figure out what's going on between the men and the women in the house. And really, it's not just for my race, it's really something I see going on in Western society. But since my experience is kind of limited to my people, the people who look like me, and the culture I grew up in, I try to address that more because I feel like I'm more well versed in that space. But like I said before on Facebook, I'm not really a racist person. I'm not really involved. I don't want to ever talk about race, but unfortunately, it has to be addressed because so many people in the world are driven by that identity. And so, in order to reach them, you have to kind of play the game with them. All right. But me as a scientist, I already know we all got to breathe in oxygen. We all got to drink water. We all need protein. We all need nutrients. We all got to go to the restroom, urinate, defecate. We all got to get sleep. Our body has to get rest. We all need, I mean, come on. We breathe out carbon dioxide. I mean, just from a scientific, factual standpoint, we ain't that different. So, unfortunately, it's been made a huge deal about race, but we ain't that different, y'all. But yes, y'all, the reason why you see upstanding men coming online expressing their thoughts on relationship dynamics is because we understand that that plays a big role in setting the foundation of the family structure. And once you can strengthen that foundation, you can now produce more, you can produce stronger children that are mentally stronger, mentally prepared to function in this world. But you have to have the guardrails of a family structure, and that starts with the relationship between a man and a woman. And that's why we're online speaking about relationships. Now, like I said, there's going to be bad actors. There's going to be men who are strictly speaking out of bitterness. And there's going to be women who are strictly speaking out of bitterness. They don't know any other way to express it. All right, but just as many men and women you see doing that, there's even more people that's actually trying to get some positivity accomplished with this whole thing. So I wanted to couple this concept along with this video of the Ask a Brother podcast. I think that this young man brings a lot of good points to the table, and he speaks in a way that makes it easier for young women or women in general to digest. Because again, y'all, we ain't the same. Men and women are not the same. And I think that's another big mistake that we've made to try and pretend that men and women are the same. We are not. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what makes it such a beautiful union when a man and a woman comes together. Because it's like it's a team. On this team, everybody has a role. And once those roles come together perfectly, it's like poetry in motion. And that's what happens when men, women, and children come together. It just becomes effortless once everybody is willing to accept their role. Now, we're not saying that women can't be strong, women can't be independent when they need to be. We're not saying that. We're not saying men can't be nurturers and can't be soft when it's needed. Yes, we know that, and we need that sometimes, depending on what's going on in the situation. But inherently, y'all, men and women are not the same. All right, and one of those it's expressed very clearly when it comes to conversation. If things aren't said in a certain way, most women will just tune it off because they don't feel like it's coming from a place of love. you know, Coaches deal with this. Coaches know you can't speak to male athletes the same way you speak to female athletes, and vice versa. It doesn't work. Mentally, we're different. Mentally, women don't respond to things the same way that men do, and vice versa. And that's just how it is. Ain't nothing bad about it. It's something to be celebrated. Just like every race and every culture is different. It's something to be celebrated. It's okay. It's great, actually. You know how boring life would be if we walked around the earth and went to every country and every country was doing the same stuff and the culture was the same? No, it's supposed to be different. Right, that's the beauty of it, So I'm gonna go ahead and play some of this podcast. And as you can see, well, you can't see the title is called "Do I Hate Women?" And the reason why is because a lot of times, because there's a lot of women that have never been, they've never been addressed directly about their behavior, about their thoughts, and so they're not used to it. And so when they see men online doing that, and I'm talking about the men that are, you know, being genuine and doing it out of love. You know, Sometimes it can still hurt a person's feelings if you tell them certain inconvenient truths. And to the point to where there are some women that'll start to ask, like, do you hate women? And it's like, wow, just because I'm pointing out some things that you could work on, you associate that with me hating you. When it's actually the exact opposite. If it was hate, I wouldn't care what you do. I would see you doing wrong, see something that's gonna negatively impact you, and I would let you be. That's somebody that hates you, somebody that doesn't care whether or not you do well or not. The only way to do better and be better is by accepting some criticism and willing to adjust and grow. So here we go, y'all.
Walking that fine line between what we believe to be true and also recognizing that a lot of it is unpopular and what that means and what that comes with. So, relatedly, the topic of today for episode 3 is, do I hate women? Well, no, I'm playing. I don't, despite popular belief. The reality is that it's actually the opposite. And I'll argue by the end of this long soliloquy that hopefully you can potentially see and interpret me and many people like me saying things that potentially you may not like to hear, and perhaps looking at our frame of reference from a different point. When I think of like a doctor, a really, really good doctor, I've never seen one.
Y'all, just I wanted to pause real quick. Look how pleasant this man is speaking. He's not speaking out of a place of hate. He's clearly speaking out of a place of care. Just wanted to point that out. This brother speaking so pleasant. It's like, come on, at least hear him out. Now, he's about to speak about what I was saying earlier. Here we go.
That was good if they weren't willing to tell me something that they saw that was wrong that I could heal from or fix. I could say the same about, I guess, a teacher, where if I'm turning in assignments and quizzes and tests and I'm literally putting on the wrong answers and they're giving me A's and I'm never actually learning what it is that I need to learn. Or a coach that sees me screwing around in practice and not, developing the skills that I need to be able to be effective on the game, but still letting me play, knowing I'm not going to do well. None of those people, if they didn't tell me the thing that was hurting me, harming me, or that I needed to grow in and change, I would not say that they actually care about me by omitting and not telling me the truth. I feel like that's kind of what it's like right now, especially when it comes to men and women, relationships, politics. It seems like we've kind of gotten to a really, really strange place where it seems like a lot of you, in this instance, with the question being, do I hate women? It seems like a lot of you are struggling with the idea that someone could be telling you something you don't want to hear. And if you don't like the person who's doing the speaking, it can't be true. Let's sit in that for a second.
So let's sit in that for a second. Basically, what he's saying, y'all, is he's referencing the old saying of "Don't shoot the messenger." It's like somebody could come and run and knock on your door so hard, and they could be telling you or warning you of some type of a pack of dogs that are loose in your neighborhood, and you are about to send your children out to ride their bikes. But this person thought enough to come and warn the neighbors and tell them, like, hey, it's a pack of loose dogs in the neighborhood. Just want to let everybody know. Now, say you don't like that person. Say it's a person that you didn't have previous beef with, you don't like that person. Just because you don't like that person, are you going to ignore the message that they're sending that could save your life? I will hope the answer is no. You're not going to ignore that person just because you don't like them. I don't care who it is. If somebody's bringing me truth to help me or protect me, I'm going to listen. I don't care who the messenger is. So I'm not going to shoot the messenger. All right. They're just giving me the message. And so a lot of times when it comes to the communication between men and women, if there's women that have built up some resentment toward men, a lot of times they see whatever man, whoever the man was that was involved with them, or they feel like caused that resentment, they'll see that man in other men. So which causes them not to like men in general, at least for that moment in their life. And you could have a man come along that's giving you the best of advice and the best of jewels and the best of knowledge to help yourself, but all because you don't like men, or you set it up in your mind that you shouldn't like men, that you ignore this possibly God sent knowledge for you. All right. And which doesn't make sense and it's not healthy for you. So that's what he's expressing right here. It's that old saying, don't shoot the messenger. Receive the message. If it resonates with you, receive it and use it in the best way for yourself.
That's a question I think you really, really need to think about. Like, seriously, do I only see something as true if I like the person who's doing the speaking and what they're saying is something that makes me feel good? Just realize the dangerousness of thinking and moving and behaving that way. If the idea that only the people who let me hear what I want to hear and the people that I like, those are the ones who are telling me the truth. What? Man, what you're basically communicating is that the most important thing is not the truth. It's not your safety. It's your feelings about what you're hearing and the people who are talking to you. And the crazy part is I think politicians know this. I think corporations know it. I think nearly every major field where they can take dollars out of your pocket, they know it. So your emotions can turn your brain into like a battlefield where the winner gets to walk away with your time, your energy, and your wealth. Is it really all the people who are on the talk shows, who are the newscasters, who are the podcasters? Is it all the people, the radio show hosts, the actors, the actresses, the celebrities? Is it all the people that you like and that are selling you something that sounds good and is what you want to hear? Are they the ones that's truly telling you the truth? And are they the ones that care about you? Or would it?
And right there, y'all, is a hell of a question, you know. And we all are guilty of it, of watching or consuming content that already agrees with what we think ahead of time. So it just validates what we already thought. Very rarely do we watch content or absorb type of media where it challenges our thinking. You know, I do. I like to. But as I look out here and I see that there's a lot of people who don't like that because it forces you to question a lot of things about yourself. You know, especially if you've set up life circumstances in some type of way that's related to what you believed before, and then for you to find out that that may not be the truth, now you got to readjust your whole your whole world is kind of shaken up a little bit, or it can be. So a lot of people avoid that information so that they don't have to go. They rather kind of live in a delusion than to receive the truth. And and you do have to ask yourself, like, if I'm listening to people that are only willing to tell me what I want to hear, are those people really the ones that care about me? It's like your parents. Some people I've heard throughout my whole life, you hear people saying, "Man, my mom get on my nerves. My dad get on my nerves." But the reason why you were saying that is because they probably said something to you or did something that you didn't like. But the thing is, they did that more than likely because they know what you need, and they're not worried about what you. They're not worried about your momentary feelings because they're worried about your future. So they're going to tell you something you need to hear, not something you want to hear. People who care about you tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear in most cases. All right. Now, I'm not saying because you care about somebody, you always got to hit them with some hard, brutal, truthful facts. It ain't always got to be about that. We're going to laugh, have fun, enjoy ourselves. But, when the time comes and we know, it's a situation where we need to discuss some real life stuff, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, whether it's something you like or not. You might like hearing what you need to hear. In many cases, people don't like what they need to hear, but I'm going to still tell it to you because I love you. Do it out of love. Right? So if you take inventory of people that you listen to and you start to realize that those people are only telling you what you if somebody's always telling you what you want to hear, something's wrong with that, y'all. That's all I'm gonna say.
Doctor, a teacher, a coach that told you things that would help you to improve, even things you don't like, even sometimes with the way that they say it. But you can see in those examples how you could be better because of it. Why don't we apply that to politics and our relationships. It's easy. You've been trained. We've been trained when someone says something I don't like and I don't like them, I get to reject it. It can't be true if I don't feel it. It can't be true if I don't like them. I don't know exactly when and how we got to that point, especially as a community, meaning the Black community as well. But I think that that's a dangerous ideology. Planting a seed that maybe it's the reverse. Maybe it's people like me, Kevin Samuels, Crimson Cure. This person that what if it's there's a group of people who are allowing you to beat and slander and try to shame and shout down? What if we're the ones that's actually telling the truth about what's wrong, about what needs to change in all of us? It's the fact that you don't like us, that you don't like me, that you are triggered. What if the thing that I'm pricking is your conscience? Look, I get it. This is tough territory. But I'll tell you this. When I was out there and I had the most access to you ladies, I love you and care about you far more now than I did at the time when you gave the most access to me, to your bodies. I care about you way more now when I cannot access you than I did back then when I said and did everything that I thought you wanted to hear. On that small, manipulative, egotistical, hedonistic run that I was on, I don't think I loved and cared about most of you. Honestly.
That's crazy what he just said right there. If people probably don't know, but he recently got married. And what he's saying is before he got married, he was out here doing the thing. He was running through this, running through that. And what he's saying is now that he's gotten married and he's been able to sit back and reflect upon his life, he's realizing that during that time where he had access to just numerous women, and during this, sexual liberation time where women are encouraged to be liberated sexually, which that's a whole nother conversation because I think that was a trick to help destabilize family structures. But anyway, during his time where he was a single, a bachelor, he had way more access to women and their bodies. And in those times, he's still saying that he can look back and remember that during those times that he had the most access to women and their bodies, those are the times where he did not care about women. That's why he was able to just jump from woman to woman. So it's crazy that during the times that a lot of men don't care about women, or the exact same times where women are willing to give them access to their bodies, and I'm not trying to jump or trash on women. I'm just saying this is something that needs to be looked at. And a lot of times I think that it's because a lot of our women has been conditioned to think in a certain way. They've been conditioned to want to go after the man where they have to kind of tame him and corral him. I guess they view that type of man as more masculine. That man that they can't get to settle down and be in a relationship, they view it as a challenge versus that man that's over here already sitting, waiting, ready. You got him in the friend zone. He just sitting, waiting, ready for you when you ready. That's not as attractive as that man. It's just that all these women are interested in, and he's exercising all these options. It's like the woman wants to win that prize. But that's crazy how he's expressing how during the times where he had the most access to the most women and the most access to their intimate body parts was the time that he didn't even care the most about them. And now that he is married, oh, by the way, those times where he had access to the women and their bodies and he didn't care that much about them were also the times where he would tell them what they want to hear. So these things go hand in hand. The time that you have access to women, multiple women, you have access to the sacred parts of their bodies. At those same times and moments, you care the least about them, and you are willing to tell them what they want to hear versus the truth. All right. Now that was a time in his life, and he said now he's able to sit and compare that to the time in his life right now where he's married, so the access to these women have been cut off. All right. And he's noticed that during this time where I don't have access to women is it coincides with the time where I care the most about women, and it coincides with the time that I'm willing to tell them what they don't want to hear. So it's like it goes hand in hand. The men that care the most about you are probably the men that aren't concerned with having access to your body, and are also the men that aren't concerned with telling you what you want to hear. These are the men concerned with telling you what you need to hear. And it's kind of baffling sometimes as a man to sit back and watch women reject what he's saying when it's so truthful. He's telling you in such a pleasant way, and he's a married man. And we all know women love married men. Not trying to be funny, but from my experience, and this is not for every woman, but what I've seen is women love men that other women love. So if you've married, women that are not married are looking at you in a whole different light because they feel like you've already been stamped. You're official. Somebody, married you. So, that gives you some type of status when it comes to groups of women. Now, this is not every woman. I know it's not a monolith. Everybody's their own person. But in general, this is how it seems to be. And it's just crazy to see that in a time in his life where he cared the least about women, he seemed to have the most access to their bodies. And he seemed to be only concerned with telling them what they wanted to hear, versus a time in his life where he doesn't have access to the woman's body is a time where he cares the most about them, and the time where he's concerned with telling them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. Treasure those men who are willing to tell you what you need to hear. Don't, versus those men who always want to tell you what you want to hear.
And to be on the other side of that, and now be looking and trying to say and share and put you on the game that your dad, your uncle, your grandfather, your mother, your grandmother, somebody should have said these things. There is a cost to independence. There is a cost to trying to match men in everything. There is a cost to sexual liberation, unbridled at that. There's a cost, and we see it.
I'm about to end the video. I see this video is probably gonna take me a few reactions to really get through it. But when he mentioned there's a cost to sexual liberation, they did a hell of a marketing campaign on sexual liberation. All the freedom that they claim to give women through sexual liberation, the amount of substance and meaningfulness that they took from women was double. It's crazy. Yes, he freed you sexually, but he took so much value from you. And now a lot of women are walking around wondering why why men don't seem to want to be married. Well, the sexual liberation movement made it to where they could get everything a married man could get without the commitment, without marriage. So they tricked you into thinking that it's a good thing to be able to pass my body around because men do it. We're the same, right? We all know we're not the same. And I'm not saying it's cool for men to be doing that either. But it's clearly different impacts on the different sexes when they do it. So, they tricked you into thinking it's okay to pass your body around, but they didn't warn you of the consequences that come along with those decisions. You can't change the way men think and be the way and try to make them be the way you want them to be. No, men are going to be how they are, and men have never wanted to marry women that have high body counts. It just goes against our nature. All right. If there's a woman who has given access to the most sacred parts of herself to random guys and to a lot of guys, it ain't just about the sex to men. Men who think beyond the sex. They think, dang, if she's willing to give the most sacred part of herself away so easily to different men, that means she'll give away the house key, she'll give away the car key, she'll give away the safe code, she'll give away the most sacred and secret things between you guys. She's willing to do it because she's willing to give away the most sacred things, her womb, to different men, random men. We just relate it to other things in life and it makes sense. Like, dang, if that's not sacred to her, if she's willing to give that away so easily, she'd be willing to give away a lot more things so easily. So is that somebody I should trust my life with? Men think about these things. So they want to call it sexual liberation, but it really has many impacts and still having impacts on social dynamics to this day. And we're trying to kind of rethink these things, and just talk about it in an open way and with truth and out of love. Because ultimately, y'all, we're trying to strengthen and bring back this family unit, this family structure. So we must resolve these issues between men and women. And like I said, it ain't really a race thing. It's really happening in the Western culture in general. But yeah, in future videos, I'm gonna go into the sexual liberation movement, how that hurt women in general. I think it hurt men too, and it was another issue I'm gonna address. But yeah, I'll get to a lot of things, man, because like I said, what I give in the classroom only has so much impact. All right, I have to start moving beyond the classroom if we really want to make a change. So again, this has been Lou Insights, y'all. Yes, love life, love creation, love creator, y'all, and I love you. Lou Insights. I'm out.